Hello and welcome to all you Pisceans. This is your yearly horoscope for 2023. Of course, in a nutshell, but let's have a look at what the outer planets are doing, first and foremost. So we don't have that clash anymore in 2023 between Saturn and Uranus, and that is certainly a good thing. Or can you remember the Pluto-Uranus square or the Neptune square to Saturn? Whatever, when these outer planets clash, it's a lot of frustration, causing a lot of frustration to people. But let's have a look at individually these planets, what they are doing for Pisceans. And the one that is the most important one, that is the most challenging one, is Neptune. And Neptune has been in Pisces for a long time. It's still going to be the whole year in Pisces. So some of you already had that. Neptune on their sun, or Neptune on their ascendant, or Neptune on their moon in Pisces. The ones who are going to have planets between 22 and 27 degrees of Pisces, they will feel it the most. They will have Neptune bang on their sign or ascendant. So what does it mean? And for some of you, you already experienced that, but it's still like, you kind of feel it still, Neptune in your first house. It certainly is still some insecurities and not knowing where you're heading. Definitely when it's your ascendant, it's like your life path, it's very blurry. And also when it's your sun sign, I've seen a lot of Pisceans over the years and who had that on their sun sign, and it was always the same. It was always, they don't know what to do with the career. It is very blurry. It is very insecure. Now, the best thing you can do is be a true Piscean. It's do your best and let God do the rest. That's really the Neptune vibe, taking it at its best. Because it's like telling you to slow down a little bit, because what do you do when you are in the mist? Which is Neptune transit. It's indeed slowing down and see what comes. And of course, do your thing, do your part, but not trying to force things too much. You in general are definitely a sign that knows how to deal with that. You know, your opposite sign has way more challenges to deal with that, the Virgos. But so Neptune in your sign at its best is being creative, is feeling inspired, it's being empathic, doing something for someone else. But of course you have to watch out there, your boundaries. So the discerning is very important. Yes, you can have a nice, kind heart for people, but you have to discern, are these people worth it? So that is the biggest thing. With Neptune having that on definitely your ascendant, you kind of absorb all the other people's energies. And I have that natally. And I can talk out of experience that I have to be, although I'm a Virgo, I'm very aware that I can just kind of absorb other people's emotions and sometimes not even knowing it. So when you're feeling a certain way on an emotional level, maybe a bit drained, maybe a bit on a negative way, having absorbed emotions from people that you didn't even knew that you were doing it. So be mindful of that, and then you can withdraw yourself and focus on your own energy to, they say Pisceans need a lot of alone time, but they do, because that's why. And I understand that very well. But anyway, that is for some Pisceans out there for you with the Neptune there. And that is actually the most triggering thing for some of you Pisceans. Another thing that is not easy is the Saturn shift into Pisces. But for up until March time, Saturn is still in your 12th house. It's doing a cleanup there. So it's a good time for you to clean up, literally and also figuratively. A cleaning up of your closet, a cleaning up of whatever it is there. Because it can serve you when Saturn comes into your first house, that there is a maturity cycle here. The Saturn in Pisces, when it comes into Pisces around the 7th to 8th of March and will stay there for the rest of the month, it's definitely the first born So the people who've got planets between 0 and 7 degrees of Pisces, they will feel it the most, the Saturn there. But everyone will feel, every Piscean will feel it. And that has to do with discipline. It has to do with discipline. It has to do with, yes, things go slow, but it's for a reason. So less is more. Also with your energy, you could be feeling a little bit lower in energy, but that has to do because you've picked up too many things, for instance. So do the cleaning up for sure between the first month, the February, and so January, February, March, so that you are ready to start a new cycle. Saturn on the ascendant, Saturn on your sun, and also Saturn to the moon is definitely a maturity wake-up call. It depends on your age. If you're, of course, when you are younger, when you're 12 years old and you're having Saturn on the ascendant, it's way tougher to deal with. But it can indicate, for instance, a young boy that is, the parents go through a divorce and he has to do more on himself, basically. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And but he develops those traits of Saturn, which is discipline and which is responsibility. And so I've seen it many times, Saturn over the ascendant, people who get pregnant so that responsibility, but also starting a new business. All of these things don't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but Saturn makes it a bit more heavy and a bit more. So know that you are going to see things a little bit more heavy than normal, but it's not in reality. It's just how you see. It's just your perspective. But in a good way, it's definitely you disciplining yourself more and you having better boundaries with people. That's also Saturn in your first house, which I like very much. Remember the thing that I said with the Neptune, this can be very good for you with Saturn in your first house. Pluto stays for most of the year in your 12th house, in your 11th house, sorry, and skips into Aquarius between March and June. But let's talk for Pluto in the 11th house for most of the year. It's the same as last year. It's transformations when it comes to your friends, your friendships, and your goals for the future. So there is like the ones that need to go, they have to go, they will go. Or a friend goes through a transformation process. It's a very important process that also has an effect on you. Also some goals that were non-realistic, they need to go, they have to make place for some new ones who are more fitting you. That's the Pluto in Capricorn there. But as it sextiles your energy, it should not be too drastic for you. Now, as I said, in March up until June, we have a small pocket of time where Pluto will be in Aquarius, which is your 12th house. And that has to, so you have a sneak preview of dealing with your patterns. You could say old patterns even. You could say karmic, ancestral patterns that are very, very old and very, very deep. They can come to the surface so that you deal with them and that you transform them so that you can release them. And you are more authentic and lighter because of that. So that has to do with some patterns there that are no longer working for you. It could be things that are undermining you or that are a bit self-sabotaging that you are seeing and spotting now. And the process starts of removing them slowly but surely. Then Uranus is still in the 3rd house for the rest of the year. It's the same as last year. It is sextiling your energy. So no big deal here, except for the fact that you could have a more up and down energy level when it comes to your social life, when it comes to your communication. There could be really new things coming up and that have like that effect of, I didn't know that, and it brightens up your life basically. Uranus in the 3rd house can also mean short trips that are coming out of the blue, learning something new that has a Uranian flavor there. You could be learning some acupuncture, for instance, or learning all about that, and it's a very fresh energy. Also, when you have your own business, you could do a lot of Uranian stuff like YouTube, or Uranian stuff is everything that has to do with the internet. So, but definitely a very alive energy, and what you learn is very exciting, or you could be teaching as well. Then I talked already about Saturn. Jupiter will be in your second house up until May in Aries, and then shift into the third house. So Jupiter still in the second house is good. I know it's a strange way to say when we are in the midst of a huge inflation energy, so to speak, and a lot of people are struggling financially, of course, but Jupiter in the second house shows that you can make improvements there and opportunities you have. And also your confidence, you can improve the confidence that you have. So see them and apply them. Then it shifts Jupiter in your third house in Taurus, which is nice, which is sextile energy, so smooth energy for you. Jupiter in the third house is all about, again, that study house, that house of your social contacts. It's people in the neighborhood, it's your siblings. It's Jupiter there means a lot, and it means a lot of social activity, and I like that for you. And a lot of short trips as well. A lot of learning, a lot of expansive learning. You learn a lot, and it has a grounding energy because it's in Taurus. So that's beautiful for you. The nodes are still in Scorpio and Taurus up until July. So North Node in the third house. Again, that house, a lot for you points towards learning new skills, towards short travels, towards social activities and being very buoyant there. And a bit less towards old belief systems that are no longer working for you. So you need to release them. And from July and onwards, the nodes shift into Aries and into Libra. So the North Node will be in Aries, again, that second house. So that shows a huge focus on your self-worth and improving, and how to improve, the steps that you need to take. You will have more opportunities to take those steps for improving your finances as well. Last but not least, Venus retrograde in Leo. It's going to be in your sixth house. That is lovely, basically, because it's from July up until September. And that shows what you like and what you're going to attract. So the sixth house is health and work. So you could have an improvement of health because you do something different. You could also have an improvement of how you, especially if you have disliked your work, to reassess this so that you like your work again when Venus goes direct again in that period of time. So could also mean romance at work with Venus in your sixth house, the day-to-day level there, the day-to-day life, but definitely enjoying your day-to-day life way more and feeling very good about yourself as well with Venus there. So I haven't been talking a lot about relationships, but a lot about, you know, the mindset, and I think that's the most important for 2023 for you. Yes, watch out for some of you with the Neptune to be clear in communications towards others. And but in relationships, it seems like you are doing quite well with the balance between understanding people too much and setting your boundaries because of this Neptune Saturn there. So I think the relationships, or normally the relationships that you are going to attract, are going to be a mix of that as well. So that is certainly nice. And all in all, I think it's quite a nice year for you. And I wish you the best with it. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.